He smiles at you, eager to talk. Why, certainly, friend, I can tell you a little about the Harmonium, the Mercy Killers, and the Governors. Which should I start with the Governors? He nods knowingly. The Fraternity of Order is their proper faction name. They are dedicated to law and knowledge. They spend most of their time simply researching every aspect of law. Now, I'm not talking just man-made laws. No, their research goes much deeper. They want to know the how and why behind everything. Because of their devotion to law, they also run the courts of sigil and act as lawyers, judges, advocates and such. I would love that. Harmonium? He stands proudly. The primary faction of Sigil is, of course, the Harmonium. We are the faction dedicated to preserving law and order in Sigil, and there is no other more important function. Progress can only be achieved in a state of peace and harmony. There are those that think otherwise, but they don't have our resolve, and thus they shall fail. Mercy Killers, he smiles. The Mercy Killers stand for justice. To them, justice is everything. It is absolute and perfect. They dedicate their lives to dispensing justice, but it must be done correctly according to the law. They firmly believe that by imposing justice on the multiverse, it can be cleansed of evil and made perfect. Justice doesn't really exist now, does it? Who's your friend here? He glances at the customer. Dimitri? He shrugs, like he hadn't considered the fellow before. Quiet, doesn't say much. Do you, Dimitri? Dimitri doesn't respond, but simply gives the same blank expression. A few seconds later he nods. Hamris shrugs, turns back to you. Wandered in one day a few weeks back. Been a regular ever since. He hasn't bought anything, but he doesn't cause any trouble, so I let him stay. Seems harmless enough. You see, when I was serving the Harmonium, part of our work was to take people under our wing, give them a little shelter from the chaos of the streets, get them spruced up. What about Lothar? He frowns deeply in thought. Can't say as I have heard of the fellow. Master of the Bones, you said. Catchy title, that. He smiles. In a way, I guess you could say that's my title as well, dealing with corpses as much as I do. Now, I know that most of them are covered in flesh, but there have been plenty of times when I have had to make a coffin just for bones. There was this one fellow that had his bones picked clean by something and never did find out by what. What can you tell me about Sigil? Sigil, he lets out a long breath. Sigil is the city at the center of all things, or so many believe. It is the city of doors. There are literally thousands of portals here. It is home to the Lady of Pain herself. He shrugs. Sigil is a topic that can fill volumes and volumes of volumes. Tell me about the Lady of Pain. The Lady of Pain. Hamris leans in and drops his voice slightly. One of the multiverse's greatest mysteries, everyone will agree. I think she's proved beyond doubt, Shadow, that females are the most dangerous creatures in the multiverse. I think she's proved beyond doubt, Shadow, that females are the most dangerous creatures in the multiverse. Not really. Depends on the person. There are pretty harmless and stupid females, really. Some say she's a goddess, a power that's made Sigil her home. Truth is, she breaks the laws of every power I've encountered. Powers need worshippers, gives them their power. But the lady doesn't like to be worshipped. The people who do end up in her shadow, their flesh torn apart by invisible blades. Now, I've seen some horrible things in my life, things that would make another man's knees go weak and make him lose control of his vitals. Doesn't even compare to seeing one of the lady's victims. What else can you tell me? Next is, she don't take to people who try and play God in Sigil. See, you may not know this, but first off, no powers can enter Sigil. Not Zeus, not Ra, no one. Keep fictional game. Word is that the lady's presence somehow keeps them out. Can't get in, not a one, and that twists their stems like you wouldn't believe. Sigil's such a sweet fruit that anyone would want to pluck. That the other powers are always looking for some way into Sigil. They haven't succeeded. Well, it goes beyond that. Not only does the lady keep them out, she keeps anybody inside the city from harming it. Certainly she has help from our faction, the Harmonium, since we like order, but every once in a while a foolish basher takes it into their head to start fighting on the streets of the city. Maybe decide to kill a few Dabus, brew up some chaos, or start casting mass destruction spells. Not a good thing. Makes the lady upset, doesn't like to see her city hurt. She will kill you or maze you for doing such. Maze. You haven't heard of the mazes? He looks at you condescendingly. You are green. The lady's got extra-dimensional prisons she can place special offenders in. You see, she takes little bits of sigil, shapes them into mazes, then cuts them off from sigil. You'll be walking home one night or be stepping through an archway near your home, then suddenly everything changes. You won't be in the place you remember. You'll be trapped. Chant is that there is one way to get out of each maze, but you'll be dead and gone before you tumble onto the dark of how to escape. I think I will be going. You see a tall, slender man with a glassy-eyed expression. He seems engrossed in some tale that the shopkeeper is relating. Occasionally he nods his head, but makes no comments of his own. The man turns slightly at your greeting, just enough to acknowledge your presence. You notice that he is a little pale of complexion and rather gaunt-looking. He's giving you a blank stare. The shopkeeper does not seem to notice any of this and continues with his stream of useless prattle. Are you all right? The man continues to stare at you and slowly nods. You wait for any further response, but he says nothing, only stares. You're about to turn away in frustration when you think you notice a strange musty odor about the man. He seems like a dead person. Step closer and sniff. You lean in and sniff at the man, unsure what you'll find. As you do, a musty odor fills your senses, an odor you recognize from your time in the mortuary. It's the smell of dead flesh preserved by magic. You're a zombie, aren't you? The creature continues to stare at you blankly, slowly, as if with great effort he begins to reply to you. Only your speak with dead power makes him understandable. Yes, I am Dimitri. Why are you here? Dimitri slowly glances at the shopkeeper and makes a feeble gesture toward him. Seeing this as a sign of interest, the shopkeeper redoubles his efforts in telling whatever tale he's relating to the poor creature. Dimitri looks at you again. Hemris, he talks. Hemris never stops. Wanders town, annoys master, annoys everyone. Master create Dimitri, tells Dimitri talk Hemris. Now Hemris stay in shop, master happy, town happy, Dimitri sad. Is there anything I can do to help you, Dimitri? You should go to the dead nations, or... The creature pauses, then resumes his slow speech with you. You can almost detect a pleading tone in his voice. Yes, find master, Sebastian. Ask him release me, please. He turns his attention to Hemris momentarily. Please. Why don't I just put you out of your misery? Dimitri barely shakes his head at you. No, master, revive. Must ask master, Sebastian, please. He awaits your answer. Yeah, I mean, he will revive him and send him again to Hemris. Yeah, but he's performing a useful task, which is to keep this man working. I'll think about it. I have some questions. The creature gives you a barely perceptible shrug of the shoulders. No, nothing. Dimitri summoned by master. No darkness. Peace, rest. Then Hemris. Sorry, help you if I could. Poor thing.
All right.
But I mean, these Hammeris seem to be very relieved to have Dimitri with him, though.
I'm gone.
Will they react if I steal? Let's try. No, they don't. Okay, then.
All right.
Thank you for that. They don't heal much, but in some occasion they're useful. By the way, I have a mess in my inventories because Morte. This rock building looks a little out of place here. Again?
Tagger's not working in this thing. Tagger's not working in this. Tagger's not working in this thing.
Okay, that doesn't work as a pouch. A small bag made of some unidentifiable material. But really? I'm so disappointed.
I'm gone.
Hey Lenny, you see a feral-looking young man in shoddy clothes. His eyes dart about as he scans his surroundings. He notices your approach and begins eyeing you warily. Greetings. He looks you up and down and glances about, returning his attention to you. He gives you a wicked grin. You'd best have a good reason for disturbing Lenny Burke. Do I? He laughs at you. I ain't no tout. If you've got questions, go find one. His smile broadens. You'd best push off before I have to bleed you. Well, you know what? Let's go take care of Morte, because then we needed to start taking care of the quests around here. What was this place? Hey? Ah, the marketplace is inside here.
All right.
Oh, you are all moving now because I entered in. Come on. Okay, so I'm gonna take a look at... I'm gonna barter, really. That's what I'm going to do. With Alec. Oh, I'm going all the way around. You see an older man with long white hair and weathered yellow skin. He stands tall despite his obvious age. He smiles and gives you a slight bow. And to you as well, Cutter. How may I serve you? He raises his eyebrows as he awaits your answer. What do you have for sale? So yeah, guys, I'm doing this. Alright guys, apparently nobody is buying the trash that I want to sell, so... How sad.
Ready.
Can you steal here? Let's see.
Right.
Clipped copper piece. Market workers. I need like a junk dealer. Something like that. Laszlo. Karina. Okay. Cinder. Let's see if Cinder... Actually, let's talk with this guy because I haven't really talked to him. Yeah, I talked to him. I got his introduction, but we have some dialogue here. What's that furnace used for? I think this one. He glances at the furnace and then lowers his voice. The furnace does nothing other than teach me lazy boy responsibility. That boy is always yapping and talking and such. Reckons himself a scholar and don't know the value of real work. If you have serious question, well, he may be better to ask than me. Oh, what? Magic items, weapons. What about Lothar? Do you know him? Can't say I ever heard of Lothar. He squints his eyes as he thinks. But this Bones fella, yeah, I heard of him. Chanty is you don't mess with them. Powerful cutter. Consorts with the dead and such. What can you tell me about him? He barks out a short laugh. You heard it all, cutter. Don't know anything else about him. Does this guy have anything else to say? I don't think so. No. All these people and I still feel lonely. Yeah. Welcome to life. Lots of shoppers. Still don't know what this furnace is for. There is an empty spot here. Let's talk with this merchant here. You see a large blustery merchant. He looks to be totally hireless. And his pale yellow skin is scarred as if from burns. He looks at you intently as you approach. He smiles at you. Greetings, I'm Cinder. I heard about you. You be the scarred, clueless fella that be going around the world asking questions. What can I help? What can I be helping with you? You look like you have a few scars yourself. He frowns, then begins to laugh. Aye, that I do. A few years back I had me a keep set up in the hive. Some barmy mage decided to burn the world right out of sigil. Almost took me with it. Sick for a month I was. Yeah, I see. I know. What is this place? It's the open air market, one of the best shops that be in Sigil. But are you sure that it's open air? Fortune smiles on you to have entered it, Cutter. We have an empty stall. He points to the stall next to his. If you be a merchant yourself, you can just set up your keep and barter with the rest of us as long as you isn't too loud or too much of a bother. Why is that still empty? He glances at the empty stall. Merchant by the name of Zack had his keep there. Got himself a page in the dead book recently. He frowns. A strange story, that. Strange in what way? He thinks for a moment. Well, I don't know the dark of it all about, but Zack had a bit of business trouble and needed some coin. He got himself a loan from Byron Pickett, the money lender. After that, Pickett started trying to take the business from him, but Zack refused. He sighs and shakes his head. Not long after that, Zack was a debtor. Pickett took his widow, Trist, to court to get the jink Zack owed. She claimed the debt was paid and said she had the papers to prove it, but they turned up missing. Yeah, I think Trist is being sold as a slave. I think I remember the name. I remember seeing her. Yeah, I remember the name hovering above her head. What happened then? He shrugs. With no proof of the debt being paid, the business was sold and the widow, Trist, held responsible for the remaining debt. She couldn't pay, so it's the block for her. The block. Aye, the auction block. If you can't pay your debts, you get sold into service for a few years as punishment. He shakes his head sadly. You said something about missing papers?
Updated my journal.
Aye, Trist be saying that her husband Zack paid the loan in full and that she had the papers to prove it. When she went to get them. They was gone. He snorts and looks angry. I'd be laying Jink down that Pickett be behind it. Is anyone looking into this matter? The harmonium. He pauses for a moment and then sighs. No evidence of wrongdoing could be found, of course. Corvus, one of the harmonium guards here at the market, is really interested in finding what happened to Zack. If anything were to be found, he'd be the one to take it too. Where can I find Corvus? You can usually find him over there by the west exit, he sighs. Would there be anything else you need to know? I remember where Byron is. Spells. Lothar. Doesn't ring a bell. Corvus there. Does this guy have a name? Drixel. Hey Drixel. You see a tall man in plate armor. The armor is of unusual construction, with spikes flaring from the shoulders, elbows and forearms. He nods at you. Your approach. Good day, citizen. How may I help you? Do you know about Lothar? He gives you a dumbfounded look, starts to say something, stops and then starts again. Oh well, no one knows for certain where Lothar is, citizen. He hasn't broken any laws that we know of, so we at the Harmonium leave him be. I'd suggest you do the same. He kidnapped one of my friends. Well, I'm not sure. Why? He gives you an annoyed look. Because, Burke, you don't mess with someone as powerful as Lothar without an extremely good reason and lots of friends backing you up, that's why. So, you're the law, but you're doing nothing about it. Why am I not surprised? Everything is always corrupt now, is it? Corrupt. Maybe the other guy down the road, down here. Maybe he's not that much corrupt. Let's see. You see a tall man in plate armor. Good day, citizen. I am Guard Corvus. Greetings. How may I help you, citizen? He gives you a friendly look, glances over your shoulder. Well, he's keeping an eye. He nods to you. I will help you if I can, citizen. He looks about the market expectantly. Let's try to see what he's looking at. You glance over your shoulder and notice a young lady wandering about the market. Corvus seems to have his eyes locked on her. You seem preoccupied. What are you looking at? He snaps his attention back to you. I beg your pardon, citizen. Please excuse me. His eyes wander back to the young woman and his voice fades almost to a whisper. She has the voice of an angel and she's such a pretty young thing. He sighs. Why don't you go talk to her? You seem quite infatuated with her. It's still better than staring at her.
Updated my journal.
An uncomfortable silence fills the air. Finally he turns his attention back to you. I just couldn't. I mean, a woman like that, well, she must be... He sighs and pauses for a moment. Was there anything else I can help you with, citizen? Well, man, you're an harmonium guard. I don't think it would be that bad for her, right? You have a position at least. He nods at you. Okay, so who are you? I am Harmonium Guard Corvus, citizen. I help keep the peace here at the market. He glances about for a moment, then looks at you. Our belief is simple. We are the light, we are the way, we are order, we are truth. We maintain and enforce order here in Sigil. We police the city. He looks about again. What can you tell me of the other factions? I know little about them, citizen. I'm sorry, but you will have to take your questions to a representative of their order for answers. He smiles. What can you tell me about Lothar? He turns his gaze on you and frowns. I would counsel you against disturbing Lothar, citizen. I doubt you really want to find him. Why?
Updated my journal.
He frowns as he looks off into the distance. I'm a realist, citizen, as well as an Harmonium officer. As a realist, I know that there are those who are above the law. It is a fact of life. Yes, true. And some people don't fear the law because of their connections in the city. Others due to their sheer power and the fear they instill in people. Lothar is a power to be reckoned with, citizen. He's untouchable if you understand my meaning. I understand, but I don't understand. You should strive to punish him regardless, even if he's above something. Because that should be your job. I understand what he's talking about at the same time. Not doing nothing is just as sinful. I know where to find him,
My
though.
journal.
What about Byron? He frowns and nods his head. Yes, I am familiar with Byron. What can you tell me about him? He gives you a stern look. Anything I know about that individual is harmonium business, citizen. I cannot discuss such matters with strangers. Perhaps after I get to know you better. What do you mean by that? Weapons, magic items. What about Zack?
Updated my journal.
Anything I know about that is harmonium business, citizen. I cannot discuss such matters, he pauses. All I can say is that Zack was murdered and an investigation is being conducted. If you discover anything that will further that investigation, please bring it to my attention. Okay. I don't know. Who do we have here? Ah, okay, they need to stop moving. Sorry, but we have Laszlo. We have Karina here. But he was looking at her. You see a pretty young woman wearing simple clothes. She wanders about the market and examines everything but does not make any purchases. You notice that people seem to be avoiding her, but they try not to make it obvious. She flashes you a warm smile as you approach. Hey. Her smile broadens. Hello, I'm Karina. It's a pleasure to meet you, Cutter. She continues to smile and waits for your response. Lothar? Lothar? I don't know anyone named Lothar. I can't recall ever hearing that name either. Did you say Master of the Bones? That sounds ominous, doesn't it? Why would anyone want to be known by that name? Well, to frighten people, I guess. She looks lost in thought as she taps her chin with a finger. Finally, she nods her head. Yes, I think you're right. It gives me the chills just thinking about it. Master of the Bones is a rather scary title. I don't think I'd mess with anyone who had a title like that. She thinks some more. I don't think I'm really... Weapons? Anze over there sells weapons, all kinds of weapons. Are you a warrior? How silly of me. Of course you are. I mean, how could you not be with all those scars? Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't mention those. You're not sensitive about them, are you? No, not really. She looks relieved. Oh, good. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, or anyone else's for that matter. You would, you know... It doesn't matter if you hurt feelings. It will help people have a thicker skin. Unless you go to prison for hurting feelings. You just have to be careful what you say to someone, you know. I mean, people are different and you never know. What may offend one person may not offend another, so anyway. Well, if you spend your life thinking about everything you say, then that would be a miserable life indeed. She pauses for a breath and smiles at you. Why are people avoiding her? She nods her head. Alright, what do you want to know? Magic. Oh. She smiles and points to one of the counters. Alec sells magic things. Are you a mage? You don't look like one, but I guess looks can be rather deceiving. I don't know what a mage really looks like now that I think about it. Do you? Not really. They can dress whatever. She gets excited and points a finger at you. See, that's just what I mean. They have all this awesome power and can do really incredible things, but you can tell just by looking at them. They can sneak up on you that way. I mean, priests and warriors and whatnot, they have all this obvious stuff that they run around with, and you can just tell what they are, so you know to be careful, but not mages. Yeah, okay, true. You really like to talk, don't you? She shuffles her feet and looks embarrassed. Well, I've been told that I probably talk a bit too much, and, well, people tend to avoid me. And I don't really have any friends or male friends courting me. Sometimes I get lonely. The voice gets lower and lower until she's finally silent. She stares at the ground at her feet. I don't want to say that I like her. She might think of something else. I know liking a person is generic, but you never know what other people understand. Some people just want to see what they want to see. I don't really like her either, honestly. But I don't think you're a bad person.
Updated my journal.
She gives you a hopeful look. Really, thank you so much. I don't know your name. I don't remember my name. She frowns, starts to say something, and then thinks better of it. She shrugs her shoulders. What's in a name? It's just nice to know I have a friend. She smiles. Well, farewell. You could say whatever you wanted to say, you know.
All right.
I'm not easily offended. Okay, so there is nothing to click on. Alright, let's try getting out this way. These are all normal people. Okay, this is the other entrance next to these people.
All right.
It seems smaller from the outside. Where are you, Laszlo? I forgot to talk to you. You see a young boy with pale yellow skin. His clothes are dirty and in need of mending. Currently he's tending a furnace. Greetings. He turns and gives a half smile as he sets down his work. Hey, do you need some help? No, yes, I don't know. I'd be pleased to help you if I could. The boy looks grateful not to be toiling over the furnace. What is it I can answer for you? I don't really need to ask him anything. What is this place? This place is the open air market. A lot of buyers and sellers come here, set up their keep for the day. I mean, I've been here for a good time. I've been working here for a while under the eye of Midah. He looks a little distant. One day I could be running his stall. I could. Well, that's a bright future. You could have a job. What is that you do here? He points proudly at the furnace. The furnace, it's used to... He shrugs his shoulder. I don't know what it's used for, but my dad says it's important to keep it stoked and burning right. He wipes sweat from his brow and glances about. I think his father is that guy. Is your father one of the merchants here? Anze is his name. That's my dad's stall over there. He gestures at a stall to the right of the furnace. If he don't have what you need, he may be able to point you to it. The goods. There's many things to be had. Food, drink, magic, weapons. Are you looking to buy some supplies, maybe? Food. Okay, food is not an... Why did you say food then? I'm still thinking about that hungry guy that's waiting for some dead meat. Anything worth seeing around here? The Great Foundry. Most of the more amazing sights are in some of the upper worlds. What about the believers? They've got a bunch of names. Believers, godsmen, believers of the source. We mostly just call them godsmen. They seem to get by pretty well. They're a pleasant bunch. They believe that everybody can be great as the powers, even if you just strive to reach it. It might mean you have to start life over a bunch of times, but you'll eventually get there after a time. Sounds like me. What faction are you? He smiles. Oh, me and Mida are in depths. We're a faction that's not really a faction. We're a faction that believes that people are free to do as they will. We're a pretty loose bunch, and we don't take too kindly to making or obeying other factions. Well, you have to obey society, I suppose. Not if it's an unjust society, alright, but you have to adapt to the broader rules at least. What is the purpose of all these factions? Glances at you. The factions are thems that govern most of Sigil, and the day-to-day business. There's a bunch. There's the dead, the dustmen. Well, I should be dead faction. That take care of all the dead bodies on the street. And then there's the governors that make the laws, and the sensates. There's a number of factions. Here in the lower world, we mostly deal with the believers, the godsmen. He nods in the distance. They have their keep in the foundry. Other factions? Let's leave him alone. I'm tired of talking. We need to go. I don't know how this will pan out, but we need to go.
All right.
To pick up Morte. We really need to move on.